Hey, good evening, everybody. You're live with us here on YouTube. This is Wulong Talks. We're back again, back to podcast episode number 6. As usual, my name's Jason P. I'm here and I'm hosting, and I'm with the boys, partners in crime, Alvin and Richard. Alvin, say what's up, man.
What peeps?
And Rich Kid, holla.
Hola, bonjour, ça va?
Sorry, I'm a little distracted because there's a mosquito flying around. If you're in the UK and you're watching this, it's been super duper hot in London, hotter than we're used to. We like rain and clouds. Well, we don't like rain and clouds, but we're used to rain and clouds, and it's super hot right now. Um, and there's just mosquitoes invading the house right now. So yeah, it's a bit of a mess. Um, if you see me slapping myself, I'm not losing it. It's just there's mosquitoes everywhere. So try and ignore that, okay?
Jason, hey,
Yo.
Jay, let the mosquito bite you. You might get its powers. Go on, man. Go
Get what?
on.
The ability to suck blood, yeah, and become a pain in the ass. All right, man. So, guys, before we get cracking, because there's been so much movie news this week, and obviously there's our big topic that we want to discuss as well. What you been up to this week, and is there anything fun you wanted to share with anybody? Rich, we'll start with you, man.
Um, my week's been pretty quiet, to tell the truth. I mean, I haven't even had the chance to go and pick up my daily comic books, which was yesterday. Um, I watched an interview with the writer of the current Black Panther comic, which was really really good. Um, what else did I watch? Well, gee, how can I forget? I watched Stranger Things. That show is amazing. I don't know if you guys have seen it, as
Oh
in
no,
like
yeah.
now, and you guys out there as well. But it's definitely like a well written, a well acted show, and I can't wait for season 2 to kick in. So I'm not even gonna go into it too much because you guys haven't seen it. So there's that, and then obviously on the weekend, I mean this is slightly deviating, but I still consider it like geek culture, is do with merchandise and that stuff. UFC 202, my boy Conor McGregor went the full distance of Nate Diaz and got the win out. I'm happy, man. Like, Conor McGregor's cool as hell, and Irish is the closest thing to white to black, as far as I'm concerned, man. All Irish people are black, so I'm down, with it, and they're cool, man. So yeah, that's how my week's been, to tell the truth.
Cool, cool. Well, if you know Richard well, you know that nothing makes him happier than watching sweaty men pound each other on the weekend. Um, Alvin, what have you been up to, man?
Well, well, since we were last on air, I saw Suicide Squad again, and it's not as good the second time round.
Hmm.
It really isn't. Like the music really annoyed me because it changed often. But yeah, it's still all right movie, but I don't think I'll buy it on Blu-ray now at all. I think I'll
Oh,
wait until it's in the bargain bin, if anything. And I recently, well, today, just joined a bit of the old Instagram, giving it a go,
yeah.
seeing what's up. So that's cool. If you want to give us a follow at Big A GL 85, no, at Big A 85 GL on Instagram, posting some stuff and that.
You sure that's it? Yeah.
You what?
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why you make it sound like I'm hiding something?
No, I'm just saying because you couldn't get it right the first time, man.
All right. Yeah. Nah. Yeah. 'Cause I'm looking at it now, innit? Yeah, it's right, innit? Why are you trying to make me doubt myself?
No, listen,
And that's about it.
Lenny. All I'm saying is I'll just ask if you got it right the first time.
Look, man, you're confusing me, innit? And that's about it, though. Nah, apart from that, nothing major's going on, innit? I mean, I'm just waiting for Fear the Walking Dead came back, but I don't even think can be doing with that anymore. Literally, I literally don't care about it. I'm like, not bothered. But apart from that, that's all that's been going on.
Cool, cool. Thank you, man. Well, for me, not much. I'm kind of halfway through a book called The Fireman by Joe Hill, which has been a really good read so far. But I've just, for some reason, I'm not able to read anything at the moment. I kind of have to be in the zone when it comes to reading books. But yeah, it's a very good book. It's like about a virus that causes people to spontaneously combust, and how humanity kind of tries to deal with that. So it's very kind of post-apocalyptic with kind of horror and comedy undertones as well. Well, not comedy, but like a kind of dark humor undertone to it. But yeah, that's been good. And also, I've been watching Combiner Wars as well, Transformer Combiner Wars. In fact, as you can all see, I've got the Transformers t-shirt on today. Transformer Combiner Wars has been killing it, man. That's been giving me my fix because, you know, as I've said many times before, I'm a diehard kind of G1 Transformers fan, and Combiner Wars really combines all the elements that I love about G1. So, yeah, really enjoying it. So do check that out. I believe it's available on YouTube. So, you know, if you're on YouTube, just type in Transformers Combiner Wars and check it out. It's a good look, man. Okay, should we get started with the movie news then, chaps? Because there's been quite a lot over the past couple of days. I thought we were going into this and it was going to be pretty quiet, but it seems like it in the last 48 hours alone, it's all just started getting on top. But let's start with what could arguably be called the biggest news so far, and that is that the story broke online at several sources that Zendaya, the young lady who is playing a character who we previously believed was the name Michelle in the forthcoming Spider-Man Homecoming movie, is actually, according to rumors, playing none other than Mary Jane. Guys, what did you think of the news when this came out? And, you know, how do you feel she's going to fit into the story?
Well, number one, you mean Mary Jane Watson, not Mary Jane as in the nickname for weed. Number two,
I think everybody knew it was Mary Jane Watson apart from you.
there's some stoners out there, man. They'll be like, what? Number two, how old is she? How old is Zendaya? She's like a model or something. Was she on Disney or something like that?
Well, that's the thing. I don't really know a lot about her. I mean, I've kind of come across her, but only through social media. From what I know, I believe she's an actress. She's appeared in a few Disney shows,
Yeah.
so she's big in the Disney house. She does do some singing as well. She's quite politically active as well, from what I gather. But I believe she's only about like 18 or 19 years old. She's not like, put it this way, we're not getting another 30-year-old playing a teenager. She is
Yeah,
still in
that's
her
good.
teens.
Yeah. So they're sticking to the ethos of like, you know, making Spider-Man a kid or a teenager. Yeah, that's good, man. I'm really happy with it. I mean, like, as you know, Jay, you know, we work together, give or take. I put a post up on the Instagram for us, and I think like it's just a prime example of the reason why Marvel Studios is just doing so well. It's because they're just realizing that the world isn't just one thing. There's so many different things, as in like, and you know, trying to cut corners. There's so many different shades. You know, like, yeah, I think it's just a really is a bold move, but it's a bold move that works, and I don't think anybody should really bat an eyelid. Like as long as she in you know conveys the spirit of Mary Jane Watson, then that's fine. I mean, it's been done before on screen, and some performances have been like amazing. Like look at Morgan Freeman in Shawshank Redemption. The character that he plays, Red, in the book is a white red-haired Irishman. You know, but you know he just knocks it out the park. So I'm really happy with that, man. I'm really happy with that, and I can't wait till she turns 21.
Jesus Christ. Alvin, please save us from this free press.
Yeah, in the most mank way possible. I'm not fucking bothered. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, oh, someone's been cast as a character in a thing. Great for them. You know what I mean? And great for their career. It's like, I don't think there's anything to get upset about. It's just like Richard said, as long as she maintains the spirit of the character, I don't fucking care. I mean, have they dyed her hair red or a shade of red? Probably. I don't know.
Not as far as I know. I mean, I haven't seen anything from the set to say that she's got red hair.
But they're not going to give her ginger hair because it would look weird on her, innit?
Yeah, but they've
But they
been
could
very
go red, like actual red.
Yeah, they've been very careful with the set photos. I mean, people have been like reposting older photos from her social media where she had dyed her hair red.
Yeah.
So there's pictures of her out there as a redhead, but I don't think they're necessarily like set photos from the movie with her with red hair. But there is, there's not a lot of, like when sometimes when Marvel come out with, or when they don't come out with casting news or story news or anything like that, and you immediately get them coming out saying, no, 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 this isn't true, and blah, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah. There's been a lot of quiet around this.
Yeah.
Nobody official has come out and said, no, this is rubbish and da da da. There's been, James Gunn posted about it and was like, well, if she is Mary Jane, then, this is great news. But, he put a lot of emphasis on the fact that he didn't know whether she is or she isn't. How true that is, I don't know, considering how prominent and popular he is at Marvel Studios and how much influence he now has there. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but that's what he says. So yeah, it's there's still some kind of doubt as such, but then it's kind of a bit like the Brie Larson situation with Captain Marvel, where people were reporting that she'd pretty much been cast as Captain Marvel like months before her appearance at Comic-Con. And people were sort of saying, well, we don't really know, officially they'll say, well, no decision has been made and da 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 da. But it was kind of, people who were in the know in the industry were kind of like, yeah, it's pretty much a given that it's happening. And the same thing seems to be the case here. So in that regard, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, everything they're doing with Spider-Man Homecoming looks great. I mean, we did talk about the poster in the last podcast, right? Or
No,
did we not?
no, we
We
didn't.
didn't, no? Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, because even the poster image that was released with Spider-Man Homecoming, it was so fresh, it felt so vibrant, it felt so different to what they've done with Spider-Man before, and yet it was them kind of encapsulating what Spider-Man is about in terms of his comic book origins in one still image. And it was just perfect with the little sort of upside down salute and everything. It was really cool, and this just looks like it's following on. As I said, if it's true, it looks like it's following on from that. So yeah, I would agree with both of you guys. Really, seems like great news to me. Okay, what else was there? There was the new image of Pennywise released from It. There's a remake of the movie It. I don't know how many people watching this remember the movie It. I do. I remember it clearly because Tim Curry has scarred me for the rest of my life. And even the book was was difficult for me to read because I remember first reading that. I think I was about 14 when I first read that book. And yeah, that led to a lot of restless nights. But anyway, the image was released of the actor. I can't remember his name now. The name escapes me. Apologies. If anybody remembers his name, please let us know. But he was in full costume and get up and things like that. And I thought it was really, really, really creepy and evil looking, and I guess that's exactly the kind of look that they're going for. But guys, did you find that the same? Alf, what did you think of the image?
Yeah, it looks well. It's like a scary ass clown in it. That's all it needs to be. It looked kind of fucking sinister, more sinister than the original. Like, look.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It was definitely very, very sinister. There was something very. I mean, I remember like posting up on the Instagram account something about it. It looked very primeval almost. Like a kind of like an ancient evil, like something that's been around for time, basically. Um, and I like that they've taken that approach with it. I like because in the book that's quite the sense that you get with Pennywise is that Pennywise has been around for eternity, tormented mankind, and they've really gone with that kind of ethos in the image as well. Rich, what did you think?
Um, I found it really really good. It was a nice interesting image. It was a like it very much like what they've done with Spider-Man. It was a nice update on a character that we're already familiar with, but yet didn't seem to like deviate from the main source. If anything, from what I've read, I mean I've never read it, but basically this Pennywise that we've seen is closer to how he appears in the book. So I mean, he did look kind of scary. I've never been afraid of clowns, so I didn't find it scary for me. I could see why it would be scary, but I didn't find it scary for me because I'll fuck a clown up. I'm not even playing those games. No, seriously, like like I'm not. Ronald McDonald's gonna take me in a fight. Nah, I don't think so. But feeding me Big Macs, yeah. So that's how I see it. But what I was really interested in, now that you've just brought it up and it's just popped into my head now, was with this release of Pennywise and It, and they're filming the lone what's it, the Dark Tower. Are these being made by the same studios, or they being made by separate studios? Because if it's the same studio, I'm just thinking this is gonna be one of the biggest fucking franchises ever if they decide to go down the Stephen King route. So I'm not sure if anybody can answer that last question for me.
What, you mean like a Stephen King universe?
Steve, listen, don't tell me you didn't say that and you wee-weed yourself a little bit. Come on, that would be awesome. Because obviously, because Pennywise, I'm sure, appears in one of the, let's say one or two of the other books, for in the Dark Tower series. I think that'd be awesome, man. Like basically, you just have the Dark Tower as like the main series, and then let's say every year that you make a Dark Tower film, you have like you have two films that are based on books in the Stephen King. So you have like maybe remake it, or maybe not it, sorry, The Misery, or maybe remake The Stand. Where some characters flow in and out. Maybe remake Salem's Lot, where some of those characters will come into the Dark Tower from Salem's Lot, and then they'll go and meet Pennywise in another book. I just think it'd be really, really awesome. But I'm just, like I said, just throwing it out there. But Pennywise the Clown, yeah, I thought it was really, really good, really, really good design. I can't wait to see him on screen.
Cool. Well, Rich, all I can say is, man, how are you going to fight something that's going to steal your soul, man?
Never steal my soul. Never. I'm from Wakanda. Never steal my soul.
Yeah, in terms of the studios, I don't actually know. That's a good question. That's something I think I could look into, definitely. But I think it is New Line Cinema, but I'll just check it quickly. But in the meantime, yeah, it's a good idea, the idea of like a Stephen King universe. And I'm sure it's been mooted before. I'm sure people have kind of attempted to do that. I know the famous Hollywood producer Brian Grazer, the one who was, I don't know if he's still attached to this Dark Tower movie or not, but I know he did own the rights to like the whole franchise, and he was kind of talking about like kind of doing a Kingverse where like all of the characters kind of intersect and cross paths with each other. So I'm not sure if it is the same studio or not, but if it is, then yeah, that sounds kind of crazy. But it would definitely work, because so many of those characters all come from the same kind of place, and they cross paths in so many ways, as you mentioned, in like The Stand and things like that. That happens too. So just quickly popping on to IMDb now. It's Bill Skarsgård who's playing Pennywise.
Okay, yeah.
That's his name.
Is he like the third brother? Is he like the Skarsgård? Is he one of them? Is he like Stellan?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think he is, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. That means like the white version of the Wayans or something, man. Like.
Right, in the production credits, there's no one big listed really. It looks like a group of. Oh yeah, actually, theatrical release is New Line Cinema.
Yeah.
In America, they're the distributors.
Yeah.
Village Roadshow Pictures is one of the production companies, as is Vertigo Entertainment. Both of those are owned by Warner Brothers. Okay. And it's Warner Brothers who are also doing the Dark Tower movie as well. Okay. So
nice.
Yeah, possibly.
I hope so.
Yeah, so it's definitely possible that could happen. So yeah, it's interesting. Sticking with horror, did you guys saw the new trailer for the Ring sequel, right? Called Rings, I think it is, or something like that.
Yeah, I saw that today.
Yeah. I wasn't really that sold on it, to be honest. I don't know why, but I just got the sense that it's kind of like that typical kind of Hollywood studio take on something where it's like, you know what, this is a sequel, so we did these ones small, so let's go big for the next one, and let's go big, let's explore, let's expand, and you can do that, obviously, but with something like The Ring, it kind of what kind of creeps me out about it, particularly with the Japanese version, but also with the American remake, the first one as well, was the intimacy of the horror. Um, so, I mean, it's interesting that they've gone in this kind of grand scale. For those who haven't watched the trailer, there's a scene towards the end of the trailer where it looks as if the curse of Samara has spread onto an aircraft and is causing chaos on this aircraft. But yeah, I'm not. I don't know. I'm not 100% sold on it. I might need to see another trailer. But quick thoughts, guys. Did you catch the trailer and did it make any impression on you at all?
Well, I'm just watching it now, and I'm just like, because obviously in the original it was like a tape, wasn't it? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Whereas this one, it's like a fucking a video in an email. It's just like you're just updating the technology aspect of it. That's all you've done, really. To be honest, not really changed anything. It seems fucking lazy. No, for me, it's just nah. Just stick to the Japanese one. You watch the first US one, that one's okay, but don't watch the second one because that one was shit. Fuck these movies, fuck him, forget it, scrap what I've said. Fuck all of these American remakes of these fucking Japanese things and all that. It's just, this is them trying to cash in on something that everyone's kind of forgotten about. You know, we need a new Saw or fucking a new, what's that one where they're running about and it's fucking like, just like robbing houses and shit. What's that one called?
Purge.
The Purge.
Yeah, Purge and fucking what's this? That fucking random one, like paranormal activity. We need new paranormal activity and all that. So obviously they've gone fucking. Let's fucking do this. Let's try and cash in here. Bollocks. Don't care. Shit. Move on.
Me? My turn?
Yeah,
Fair
yeah.
enough, Alvin.
Yeah.
Don't hold back there, Alv. Tell us how you feel, man.
No, no. Robin Williams, it's not your fault, man. Fuck you. It's not, man. It's not your fault. You know what? Like I said, the only thing that I found interesting was that bit at the end on the airplane. But I'm like that. Like I'm that biggest geek where I'll sit down and like, like back in the day, like my mum would say, hey, hey Joe, Rich, what you thinking? And I'd be like, oh no, I'm not thinking about anything. But in my head, I'd be a superhero doing crazy shit. So I've always thought about like, hey, like if Samara really came for me, could I really take her in a fight? Because I believe that I'd find some kind of magical stuff and kill it. But I like the fact that they've tried to update it. Is it still something that's needed? No. It's like you guys have said, it's a fucking reboot of something that doesn't really need to be done, because the first Ring was the US remake was a really good remake. The original Japanese version was a really, really good film, and then the sequel was just, like I said, just piles of shit. And I think certain horror movies are just that one-off thing that, and it needs to be left alone. Like the first Paranormal Activity, it's good. The first Exorcist, it's a good film. You don't do sequels to these things where something keeps them coming back. But I mean, I guess that's what happens. I mean, I heard that the only reason that this Ring remake is being made is that at the beginning, you can see that the video is actually an email. Actually, Bruce Wayne sent that email by accident when he was looking for shit.
Wait, does it have a logo designed by Lex Luthor?
I don't know. Imagine at the same time he discovers that Samara's mother's real name is Martha.
Yeah. She's not evil. She's not evil.
Why did you say that name?
She went 7 days, and he went, no, before that. Yes. Why do you sound like E.T.?
Oh my goodness. Well, to quickly wrap up with the new sections, we've got 3 more bits to cover. First of all, there was the story that broke. I don't actually know when it broke, but I discovered it yesterday, which is that a lot of media outlets are reporting that Donald Glover, aka Childish Gambino, is pretty much the first choice for young Lando Calrissian in the young Han Solo movie. Guys, I know you're both big Childish Gambino fans. So give me your takes, man.
Go ahead, Alvin. You're a
Yeah.
big
All
longer
right.
than I am.
For me, it's like when his name was kind of said, I kind of went. I kind of looked at Billy D. Williams, a picture of him, and then I went, that could work. But I'm not apprehensive, but I'm kind of torn of how I feel about other people playing these characters, and as to how faithful they're going to be to the performances that came before. Although technically, time-wise, those performances came after, but let's not even get into that. That's the only thing that kind of makes me worried, as such. But I'm on board. It was all right. Like out of all the people that they could have picked or names that could have come up, he is the top of the list for me without actually knowing it. You know what I mean? And I think he can pull off that kind of Billy D swagger, because it's a different kind of swagger. It's not a street kind of swagger. It's like a self confidence. I know I'm the shit. I know I'm a smooth talker kind of swagger, and I think he can pull that off. So I was more than like pleased that it was him out of anybody else.
Okay.
Cool. Sorry, guys, I'm just being distracted by a dead mosquito on my keyboard.
Let it bite you. Let it bite you.
No, I don't want mosquito powers. Richard, sorry, your take on Donald Glover, man.
Like I said, like I said, I'm a Childish Gambino fan. Um, he does look like, well, I think he can be made up to look even more like Billy D. Williams. I mean, he's got that little afro thing happening. You could just Jericho that shit, put some soap,
Mm.
and then I doubt he'll have a mustache at that age.
I want him to
Um,
have the moustache.
you must have the tash, the porno mustache, yeah? Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
man. That moustache is
Um,
fucking business.
do I think? See, the thing is, I've only ever seen Childish Gambino in Community. So I'm not sure if he could even pull it off. I'm not gonna say that he can't pull it off, but I'm not gonna say that he can pull it off because I've only ever seen him in one thing. So Gambino's never really been that kind of self-confident swagger type of person unless he's kind of rapping. But even when he's rapping, he's still kind of got that kind of self-angst type of thing. So I can't even go off that. And in interviews as well, he's never really been that, imposing or that have that presence. So I mean, if it is true, I mean, I can only assume that let's say if he went for an audition, he knocked it out the park. It'd definitely be interesting. I mean, the Star Trek franchise, as in like the new one, the reboot that was done by JJ. I mean, those performances of playing other people that have played these characters before were fucking on point. So hopefully he should be able to do this. But on top of that, well done to Donald Glover's fucking or Childish Gambino's agent. Because isn't he meant to be cast in the new? Has he got, or was it only a rumor? Isn't he meant to be cast in the new Spider-Man film as well?
Yeah, I think he's filmed his part already. I think he's wrapped.
All right. So basically, so obviously Spider-Man's part Disney, part Sony, but it's Disney, and then he's part of the Star Wars franchise. If this is the truth, which is part of Disney as well, his agent must be getting paid. Yeah, paid. Like I'm talking like an agent from the 80s when you're the agent of like Bill Murray or somebody like that, or the guys from Saturday Night Live at meetings. Jay, you know where I'm going with this. Mountains of cocaine and hookers and strippers. That's he must be getting paid like that because Gambino, for as far as I'm concerned, has really always been the last person that you choose. But to come into these two big franchises, well done to him, man. So let's just hope. Let's just hope he does a good performance if it is true.
Cool. Good, good. Um, for me, yeah, I mean, I don't really know much about him beyond the episodes I've seen him on in Community, but if they think he's a good choice, I'm willing to go with that. Um, they've been pretty damn good with their casting so far. So yeah, there's no reason for me to worry too much about what they'll do with Lando if Donald Glover is the person who gets the part in the end. But yeah, as you said, his agent is obviously eating good right now, eating very good if these things come to pass for it. So like, we'll see how it gets on, and we'll round up the news bit with two bits of DC news. First of all, I don't know if you guys saw this because I think this broke about 2 days ago, or no, it was roughly about 24 hours ago, in fact. But apparently, the Justice League Dark movie is back on. From what a lot of the Hollywood trades are reporting is that Doug Liman, the guy who did The Bourne Identity, he also did Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and he did Edge of Tomorrow as well with Tom Cruise. Apparently, he has been hired to direct a Justice League Dark movie. For me, I thought that movie was dead because the last I heard was Guillermo del Toro was going to do it, and then they couldn't work out the budget, they couldn't agree on how much it was supposed to cost, and they just kind of seemed to quietly park it in a corner, and that was that. But apparently, he has said, according to some of the Hollywood trades, he's agreed to take on the movie. An interesting choice because, as far as I'm aware, he doesn't really have a horror background, and with Justice League Dark, all of those characters come from that kind of horror background. But that's not necessarily a litmus test or a yardstick to measure what he'll do with the project. But interesting news, I thought, nonetheless. Did you guys hear this, Alvin?
No, that was the first I'd heard about it, and because I was following it when Del Toro was on it, and I was I like his stuff, I mean, I think he could have brought something kind of special and a bit different to that project. Now I just get the idea that it's just going to be like a standard kind of studio affair kind of thing, and they're not really going to care about the characters that much. They just want another team on screen, and that's it. Whereas Del Toro, I reckon he could have done something magnificent. Like, you can even read articles, or I think there's some videos whereby he's talking about Constantine, Deadman, and Swamp Thing and all that, and you can tell he knows his shit. And I'm a bit disappointed that we won't get to see his version of Justice League Dark.
Richard?
I heard about it today, and I definitely agree with what Alvin just said. I think Del Toro would have been perfect for it. He understands the rules behind horror and behind the supernatural. Like when you watch things like Pan's Labyrinth or The Devil's Backbone, which that might even be him. Was it him that did The Devil's Backbone?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he understands. I think he's got a very good grasp of it. It doesn't have to be all these things that we consider scary don't have to be scary. They can just be existing in just existing. It's like what Joss Whedon managed to do with Buffy and Angel. I think he did it. I think Del Toro would have been really, really good for Justice League Dark. For that, I mean, I'm not even a fan of the team, and so when I heard that it was being touted, I didn't really think anything of it. Then when I heard his name attached to it, I was like, yeah, that's cool. And then Doug Liman, I mean, we've discussed Doug Liman before, and not on the cast, but just when we're having a chat amongst ourselves, he's a bit too hit and miss for me. A bit too hit and miss, and I've never really seen him deal with a film where it's been like a team. That's the thing. So he's always had maybe one or two characters that he just needs to concentrate on. I mean, the Bourne films, he has the other people that are chasing Bourne, but essentially it's still just that. Is he going to be able to handle these multiple characters on screen? And once again, this is another thing, whereas that Warner Brothers, if this is true, seem to be making that mistake. You're bringing all these characters with this rich history behind them, and just trying to put them into a team straight away. Yeah, like Alvin said, do you just want another team on the screen? Is that what you're trying to do? If that's the case, then you know what, you can put that in you can CC that in that fucking Bruce Wayne email that he sent that leaked fucking Rings trailer and shit as well, man, because then I'm not interested. Simple as that.
Cool. Fair enough. That obviously means now that if this story is true, and Doug Liman has accepted this job offer, then what happened to the Gambit movie? Because he was attached to that. And Gambit, I mean, I don't want to get too stuck in this because we're running low on time already, but Gambit movie, guys, what's going on? Do they need to just give it up? Because it's they've tried, and it's been in development for a few years now, and it just seems to be hitting one problem after another. First of all, they were trying to budget it at like 270 million. And so that was a stumbling block. And I was like, why does a Gambit movie need to be 270 million? Then it was apparently issues with the script and not knowing what direction they want to go in. The actor who's cast, Channing Tatum, he's been very quiet about the whole thing. He's really not had much to say about whether it's developing or anything like that. And then, they've lost two directors now, because I think the original director who was on it was the guy who did the first Planet of the Apes remake. He left, and then Doug Liman was brought in, and now Doug's left. And it's like, okay, well, what's going on here? So I don't know. It's all a bit of a strange one. But Justice League Dark, I do enjoy Justice League Dark quite a lot. So I really am looking forward to. I'm certainly looking forward to the animated movie, which we can touch on as well quickly. I saw the trailer for that, and that looks very cool. Justice League Dark, yeah, I'd be interested in terms of the characters and so on, but I've had my fingers burnt now with this DCEU, so everything is just kind of like I approach everything with caution. So yeah, I'm sitting on the fence with this one, I'm afraid. That's the way it's going to have to be. I really don't know what to make of this news, but there you go. And the last thing, before we get into the big debate topic, is the release of the trailer for Batman: The Caped Crusader. Oh, sorry, The Caped Crusader Returns, I believe it's called, which is an animated movie from DC Warner Brothers Animation, which is bringing back the original on-screen Batman, bringing back Adam West, Burt Ward as Robin, and Julie Newmar as Catwoman, and it looks really, really good. I wasn't too sure what to make of the idea when people were saying, they were going to bring it back as an animated movie, but watching the trailer, it actually looks really, really fun. It looks like they've perfectly kind of captured the elements that made the 60 series so fun to watch, but also brought a modern sensibility to it. And one of the gags at the end of the trailer is actually really funny. Rich, what did you think of the trailer, and are you looking forward to it?
I still haven't watched it. It passed me by. I didn't get a chance to watch it. But I'm a big fan of the 60s TV show as well. Like I genuinely do believe that. Don't get me wrong, the 60s TV show kind of brought Batman down comic book wise back then, but I love it for what it was. Like the whole crazy angles, like when it was being filmed, and the psychedelic colors, and Batman having a utility belt that had everything, had everything in it. So I'm happy, and like tell the truth, like, and you've got the original voice cast, well, the majority that are alive. So you've got like Adam West, Burt Ward, and Julie Newmar. That's amazing. Like, yeah, why not, man? Why not? Have fun while you're doing it. So I haven't seen the trailer yet, but I trust your judgment, and I trust the judgment of the old boys back on the team. So yeah, I'm excited to see it.
Cool. Alvin, did you catch the trailer? What did you think?
Did, yeah. It's a Batman animated movie that I didn't know I wanted until I actually saw the trailer, and then I was just like, hell yeah, man. It kind of took me back to like watching the show on repeats, like when I was a kid. I think when I was in the early 90s, I was on Channel 4, I think. Yeah. And that's when I used to watch it, and I actually quite enjoyed it at the time. I've not really tried to watch it since, but it's self-aware, which is nice. So therefore, they can go as crazy as they want to go with it, and have no repercussions from us as fans, because we know as to what they're trying to do. You know what I mean? They're trying to emulate the kind of old feeling of the old show, but like with, like Rich said, with modern sensibilities a little bit. And yeah, I reckon it's a great idea. Who knows? I mean, maybe this will be like pretty popular and they'll do another one. But and it kind of reminded me a little bit of Batman the Brave and the Bold as well, because I think it had a bit of that kind of energy to it, which obviously that show borrows from the 60s show. So yeah, they're all borrowing from one another, but yeah, it kind of reminded me of that a little bit. So yeah, no, I like it. I like how it looks.
Yeah, I think it looks like a lot of fun, man. So yeah, definitely looking forward to that. So make a date for that one, folks. It's definitely going to be a good one, I think. Okay, let's move on to the main topic for tonight. Now, this is something that's kind of gone around my head for a little while. So I wanted to get you guys' take on it and to see, kind of what you think about it and whether I'm just being silly or not. Um, why is it that the big award ceremonies in America, that's the Oscars, the Golden Globes, the Emmys for TV, why is it that they always seem to ignore anything that's based on comic books or superheroes or anything like that? It just seems weird to me because considering that, particularly in the place that we're at now, with movie culture and with TV culture, where a lot of the entertainment we're getting has its origins tied to comic books and to superheroes and to that kind of thing, and considering that it's the only thing that's making Hollywood money right now, why is it they're so reticent to show any kind of respect towards it? I mean, it almost seems like it's their dirty little secret in a way. Like well, we have this thing here that it makes us a lot of money, but don't worry, don't look at that. Look at all of these worthy films that we're going to put forward for you, with all these star-studded names that are in there playing drunks and alcoholics battling, depression or whatever. And it just feels like there's a lot of good source material that gets kind of ignored by the awards. I mean, have you guys noticed that, or have you ever thought about that at all? Or am I just kind of making a big deal out of nothing?
No, I've always thought that. You know what it is? I think I just break it down to is the thing of that if Hollywood starts to, like, pay attention to it, that means they'll have to admit that they're wrong. Remember, like, comic book films, they've been very, very few and far between, and it's only a handful of them that have made what they would consider like good money to be like, okay, hey, let's pump some money into it. So you've got like what the main one was, what, Superman the movie. That's what I reckon probably kickstarted it off. And you had but you had amazing actors in that. So you had like Gene Hackman, you had Marlon Brando, you had bloody Mario Puzo writing the story, writing the script for it or writing the story for it. So that kind of did well. But then I think, but for every good superhero film that has come out, there's always been that pile of shit where Hollywood has been able to say, well, listen, man, like this is nonsense. So I'm not going to give it that money because we one good one, And I think with like things like Tim Burton's Batman and then Christopher Nolan's Batman, and then obviously with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and you got like amazing directors like Jon Favreau doing really good jobs with characters who are like considered like C-list or D-list, depending on how you look at it. Like I said, the film industry will have to turn around and say like, oh, listen, I'm really, really sorry. I didn't mean to chastise you for for Batman and Robin with George Clooney and Arnold Schwarzenegger. But the minute they apologize, then they're going to have to maybe give it a bit more leeway and start making maybe other categories in one way or another to try and acknowledge it. And I think that the film industry right now is still being run by old fuddy-duddies, and they're happy with the way things are being they're happy with the way things are being done. So that's so I reckon that's one of the reasons. But yeah, it's been in my mind for the longest time as well. The only acknowledgement they seem to have given comic book films as it stands right now is when Heath Ledger played the Joker in Dark Knight. Was it the Dark Knight Returns? The Dark Knight.
Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight. That's what it's called, the Dark Knight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the shit knight. All right. So yeah. So that's the only time they've acknowledged it. Like, to me, that's not enough. But yeah. But that's my thoughts in it. So I reckon if they acknowledge it, that means they have to admit that they've been wrong for the longest time.
Yeah. Cool. Alvin, what do you think, man? Do you think it's just a case of that they don't want to admit that they were wrong, or do you think they don't really have much respect for these kind of big tentpole pictures at the Academy and the various other places.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I mean, any kind of big, massive movie, even if it is extremely well made, for some reason it only gets like the recognition for like maybe CGI or sound design or something like that. For some reason, it's not seen as a real contender, and it's almost like the amount of money the film makes, kind of makes it less art, less arty. So they don't see it as being worthy of being nominated for things like Best Picture and whatnot, which I think is kind of disrespectful to, people like James Gunn, for example, because he write a post about it? Was it the last Oscars or the Oscars before? When it's like someone like insulted comic book movies as they always do, and then yeah, he wrote a massive post about it, and like yeah, I just don't get it. It's weird. It's like if someone's working under the art form of making film and cinema, and they happen to make a film that was meant to make a lot of money, and it does make a lot of money, and it's also filmed very well, and it has good sound design and good acting and whatnot, cinematography, then what's different between that and an indie film that's about, I don't know, a guy who sits on the front of his house or whatever, you know what I mean? It's like there's no different. They're both film. The only difference is the amount of money that was pumped into it. One doesn't mean more than the other just because someone says so, or because one's seen as being more art house. It doesn't make it more meaningful. But that seems to be as to what a certain kind of section of the film making community seems to think. But then I think back to things like Lord of the Rings. That won bare Oscars when that came out, and that's a fantasy film, and that was a film that was meant to make loads of money and did. So I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird one. It's like I don't know. I have no idea. It's just weird.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. I mean I hear what you're saying with the Lord of the Rings, but I think with the Lord of the Rings, none of the actors won any awards. I think it was all. I think it did win the Return of the King won Best Picture, but I think it was lots of technical awards that it won, as opposed to anything for that was actually up on the screen in terms of like the actors' performances or the direction or the script writing or anything like that. It was all just kind of like around the technical awards. And yeah, that just like it really bothers me. But yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying. It's not. It's almost like they act as if these things have no cultural value, which is something that really annoys me, really bothers me, because you do hear people coming out with statements every so often about comic books and comic book movies, and that they basically, as said, have no cultural value, that there's nothing for an audience to connect with. Well, that's a pile of crap, because the number one, the ticket sales alone tell you that people are connecting with this on a level other than just, I'm bored, I've got nothing to do, let's go and watch that Avengers or whatever it's called. Clearly people have connected with what's been presented on the screen in a meaningful way. And the cultural impact that these films have is huge. They create new fans of cinema in general just by having these types of stories told on the screen. And it's almost like because it's come from a comic book, or because it's based on superheroes or people with extraordinary abilities, there can't be any humanity involved in that. And I said that really annoys me. I mean, some of some of the films that I really love that are comic book movies feature some of the most humane moments within them. And sorry, another mosquito attacking me. They really want me to give me their powers, Rich. Yeah, some of the most humane moments I've come across have come from comic book movies, and even like with the TV shows as well. I mean, I guess you can argue that like you can argue with superhero movies and comic book based movies. With comic book based TV shows and superhero based TV shows, the quality varies. And yes, obviously you can have some debate about that, but um, I think of things like Daredevil season one, which was just phenomenal television. Jessica Jones, which was phenomenal television and dealt with some heavy shit as well, some the kind of themes that you would expect in an art house, low budget, independent film, or if it was a British film, it would be a kitchen sink drama. In that you could film it on as a stage play almost, because the storyline is so much about the humanity of the characters involved, as much as it is about the extraordinary abilities that they have. Um, and these shows and movies just constantly get ignored. I mean, I think Jessica Jones has got like season one has got 2 Emmy nominations, and I think they're both for like sound editing and something else. And you look at the list of the nominees, and it's like, well, why is Jessica Jones, for example, worse than some than Game of Thrones, or some of the other shows that have been nominated, that where actors have been nominated and where script writers have been nominated? It just seems like there's still this bias towards superheroes and comic book movies. But Rich, sorry, did you want to come in and add anything?
Oh yeah, no, I was gonna say, you know what it is? It's just because it's a superhero. You can imagine how like some of these guys sit down when it comes to like maybe even getting a pitch, and a lot of people probably still are still narrow-minded and probably just think of superheroes like you sort of like you know Superman, what, the guy who wears underpants outside of his outside of his trousers, or Batman, and they'll be like, what? I mean, like the '60s TV show. So that's it. So they can't get past the fact that, okay, this actually could be a really good, interesting read. They're probably still seeing it as a thing of like, as well, of like, what, you want to make a comic book of this? You want to make a film of this? Okay, give me the source material. And they get given a comic book, and they've never read a comic book before, and they still associate the whole comic book thing with like comic book culture with, you have to be a kid. Is there a cartoon of it? Oh, there you can only be a kid that watches cartoon. So that's why, to a certain degree, probably why it's not taken seriously. My dad didn't take me collecting comic books seriously until years later, when I got into like big man age, and he was like, all right, okay, I thought I might be able to sway you from collecting these, but obviously this is definitely a passion of them. He bought cigarettes, I bought comic books, and he was like, wow, okay, so I've seen you go say, listen, I need £5 to go buy comics, and the same way how I went crazy, but that's how he would go crazy to go buy a pack of cigarettes. So he realized that there was something that we were passionate about, and I think a lot of these people don't see it as that. Like I said, they just still see it as a kiddie thing, whereas like it's easier to pitch, and maybe even you're allowed to sit on the train and you see people reading books, and you see like reading Game of Thrones, and it's like, oh, you're reading a book, okay, yeah, so the only picture the only picture is going to be on the front cover, and it's going to be some elaborate design which is going to be beautiful, but that you might be able to get a tattoo. The ones that people get the tattoos when they finish university and they go traveling, they go to Australia and they get a tattoo, but like, hey man, I've lived. And then you see them on the train, like, yeah, I lived in Australia for like a year and I lived in this tribe and I'm reading Game of Thrones. You're allowed to do that. It's your culture allowed to do that. You sit down on a train and you read a comic book. I guarantee everyone on that train who doesn't read comic books will look at you in a particular way and try and figure out how old you are. When my hair grows out and you can see that little bit of a bald patch, and I've got a little bit of grizzly on my face, and I'm riding that train back down to South London, and I break out comic book, everybody in that train looks at me. And I think it's just that whole thing of like, why are you this age but you're reading this? Why can't you be reading something that doesn't need pictures in it? A comic book doesn't need pictures. The pictures add to the story. A comic book is no different to a book. There's still words. There's still a plot. There's still a narrative. There's still characters in it. But people still associate pictures and words for being for kids, which I've and I reckon this is probably leaked into when trying to pitch films and things like that, or pitch TV shows. They just don't take it seriously. If they are going to make it, fuck it, put it on CITV, put it on Nickelodeon. When you look at some of the stuff, some of the TV shows that they put on Nickelodeon now, the writing's fucking phenomenal and goes above kids' heads. It's literally generally written for adults. But a lot of people, like people that probably commission these things, don't even pay attention to it, and it passes them by until it hits to like season 2, and that's when they're like, wow, why is this making so much money? And then they realize that it is a credible form of storytelling, whether it be in a cartoon, film, TV series, whatever. So I reckon that's the reason why it's still not respected. Well, one of the reasons why it's still not respected.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, no, you both raised some really good points there. Actually, it makes a lot of sense what you said. There is still that kind of attitude towards comic books in general, whereby people still see them, as you said, Rich, for kids. They're not really seen as a legitimate art form, which I think is really disappointing because it's one of the it's one of our great modern art forms that we as a species have invented, and for it to have such little respect paid towards it is really odd, especially when the number of people who I've had conversations with about my comic book reading and things like that who haven't actually bothered to pick up a comic book before, yet have such strong opinions about it. It always confuses me. I don't understand how you can feel so strongly about something that you've never engaged with at all. Um, but yeah, I mean, you also raised a great point earlier about Hollywood being run by kind of old people and people with old mentalities, and um, I think that's an excellent point as well. There definitely seems to be like an old boys club going on, at the academy, and we've seen that with things like Oscars So White, where there was no people of color nominated and no films uh, nominated in the Oscars last year, and for 2 years in a row. Um, so there's clearly a problem there on many levels, in terms of what Hollywood is and how it operates and how it views certain things. But they definitely, I mean, I would say there's respect for the money that because they're quick to tell you how much money X film and Y film has made. They'll quickly put out the posts about how proud they are that this film has made 1 billion, 2 billion at the box office, and yet the Hollywood institution itself doesn't seem to care for the quality of these productions too much. But doing a bit of research and stuff, I saw that there was something called the Saturn Awards, which I'd never heard of before.
Oh yeah.
But apparently, the Saturn Awards is designed for fantasy, for science fiction, and for all of those kinds of forms of art to be celebrated. Um, and it's been going for a very, very long time. It's been going since the 70s. And as I said, I didn't even really know about the Saturn Awards. So that kind of tells you all you need to know about how much respect they have for the Saturn Awards in the wider sort of Hollywood community. But I was thinking with the amount of kind of as TV shows and superhero movies we have, especially now within the last sort of 5-6 years, and the amount that is planned going forward. Do you guys think that we should have, or well, I say we, like I control this, I don't, but do you think there should be like maybe a separate awards ceremony or a separate awards section for comic book movies and for TV shows as well? Do you think something like that could work to change people's perceptions?
What you
Rich,
mean
you can
in
go
one of the
first.
major ceremonies?
Yes, like in one of the major ceremonies, that there's a separate section
Okay.
for it.
Uh, I don't know. I don't know if that would work, man. That would still be kind of like singling us out and dividing us, if you get my meaning. Like dividing, let's say like that. Okay, then our best superhero drama. But it's still a drama. The thing that I loved about the Daredevil TV series is that I remember when they were touting it, it was Law and Order with superheroes, which I think is good, which I think is amazing. I, I I mean, maybe if it was to, maybe get us some form of recognition and respect, then it would be something that could work in our favor. But I don't see, listen, I see NCIS on its 10th season. I don't know who the fuck. I don't get me not telling that. I used to watch it back in the day, but I don't know who watches it now. But I don't see, and NCIS has won quite a few awards and stuff like that. I don't see anything different from NCIS to Daredevil. Apart from that, Daredevil was a much superior show. So I don't understand why Daredevil would have to be, have to be in its own category of superhero drama when when it's essentially the same thing. So I mean, it would be an idea. I mean, the Saturn Awards. I mean, I've known about the Saturn Awards for years as well, from when I used to read Starlog magazine. But I'm not even sure how we could even get the whole thing respected. Maybe maybe the actual Hollywood in general are actually kind of scared as well. Maybe this is the reason why they haven't admitted it, that they were wrong, and and there is this thing because there's much more of a bigger voice out there now. Like to a certain degree, like you said, the major films and TV shows that are raking in money are all like comic book based or fantasy based. You give us a fucking voice, man. You give us you give us an inch. We'll take a mile for all those years of like just being called nerds and geeks and not being respected and being made fun of, man. So Hollywood are holding their cards close to their chest. And maybe that's another reason. But to give us our own separate category at a major awards, I don't know, man. You don't do animation like best anime in animation. Like, I don't know. Like to me, animation is animation. I don't see why it has to be divided. So yeah, so that's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, cool. Oh, and NCIS, I think, is on about season 13 now, mate. So it's been going for a while, more than
No,
10 seasons.
Lucky 13.
Mark Harmon ain't going nowhere. Al, what do you think? Like a separate awards, or is that a non-starter?
Well, having it as part of like is a separate category, yeah, it's just not gonna work. Yeah, I mean, because then other genres, I mean, like the horror genre barely gets a look in as well. So you just have to kind of do everything by genres, and then kind of nobody really will really want that. It would kind of dilute the whole thing. Um, yeah, it should just be like respected like any other kind of movie. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? If it's good, it's good. That's it. You know what I mean? So what if it's commercial? Doesn't matter. Doesn't mean a movie's not good. Um, I mean, the only other option is more things like the Saturn Awards, um, where it is just all the kind of stuff that doesn't get a look in, having a fair chance to be, you know, appreciated by the makers of it and the fans of it. You know what I mean? That's the only way that it can go forward. It's either that or if like the Academy and like BAFTA change their attitudes towards things that are more commercial.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, no, that's a fair point. That's a fair point, and it kind of leads me to the next question, really, which is, should we as fans really even care what they do? I mean, it seems like they've kind of set their stall out in terms of how they're going to view these kind of films and these kind of TV shows in general. They clearly don't care for them in an artistic sense. Um, but we as fans, we love them on many levels, and we look at the various different things that they've done with these kind of properties, and particularly the good ones, and how well these things have been constructed, both from a technical and from a storytelling point of view. And we love it, and we discuss it, and we podcast about it like we're doing right now. Um, and we pass those memories on, and those feelings and those emotions on that they create to other people. So, culturally, it lives on, and it breathes. So, in that kind of vein, as said, should we really care whether Civil War wins an Oscar or not? What do you think, Calvin?
Technically, no, we shouldn't. We shouldn't really care, but it's just bullshit. You know what I mean? It's just like, look how good of a movie Civil War was, right? When the award ceremonies come round again, that movie will barely get a look in, even though it was fucking wicked, the critics fucking loved it, the audiences loved it, it's filmed fucking brilliantly, but it's not gonna get a look in because it's commercial. It's all about it being commercial. It's almost like it's pretty much indie versus commercial. That's what it is. And you know, the indie of kind of like, I suppose, taking over the Oscars at some point over the years. It became kind of like more bourgeoisie or whatever you want to call it, and that's what it is. So we shouldn't. I mean, to be honest, if I was like a maker of like one of these commercial movies, and like I didn't get any kind of like props from my colleagues or whatever, I wouldn't really give a fuck, because at the end of the day, if critics think the film is good and audiences as well, and it's made a shit ton of money, I was part of a team that did something amazing. So everyone should be fucking proud of that movie, regardless as to whether it wins an award or not. And really, do the awards matter? Did it matter to like the audience? No, not really. I mean, it's just the industry giving themselves a pat on the back to an extent. So I don't know. It's kind of like a double-sided thing, but maybe we shouldn't care. Maybe we just go fuck it. This movie was great anyway, and that's it.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Rich, what do you think, man? Do you think we should care whether these movies and TV shows win awards or not?
Not even. Not even. What would Robert Downey Jr. do? He'd say fuck it. like I would generally, like, to me, makes no difference at all. Like Alvin said, it's like, you know, you've got this amazing piece of film that's been put together, and it's not going to be respected or, you know, or be applauded because it's based off a comic book. Well, you know what? I'm still gonna go see Civil War, which might not ever get a look, and it's been like, you know, being graced as an amazing film because people are too spiteful to give it its credit. But that film's better than fucking Monsters Ball, which fucking Halle Berry won an Oscar for. Fuck you. Like, just because you've won that golden statue doesn't make it an amazing film. And that's the whole thing that I've come to realize when it comes to certain ceremonies. It's like you said, it's just the whole thing where it's just an excuse to pat each other on the back. I mean, when you look at some actors now who don't even go to the Oscars anymore, they're like, it's fucking bureaucracy shit. I remember Joaquin Phoenix was invited to one of the Oscars, and he turned it down. And then when he was asked why he turned it down, he was like, I was away filming. And he was like, yeah, but this is the Oscars. And he was like, I'm not gonna fucking cut film so I can come to the Oscars so that someone can decide whether I've acted well enough to be in the film that, you know, that I starred in, or not even just for that, but just to present an award to someone else who might have done a good job or might not have done a good job, but that was left to someone else to decide. And that's what I feel the Oscars is now. It's like, you know, the Oscars is just fake. It's bullshit. So do we need to have that? We don't. Like you said, as long as it keeps the fans happy, and it keeps the audience happy, and it gets that money back in, so we can keep on producing and pumping out good stuff, so that no one can turn around and say, listen, like, you know, you made a fucking John Carter film. You know, we gave you 350 million. You promised to make us a star, and you gave us this piece of shit. As long as that doesn't happen, we can go about our business. Like, you know, like we you know when you look at the whole industry now, it's not as if, like, you know, the whole superhero genre, whether it be in film or TV or animation, is getting any smaller. If anything, it's getting bigger. So at some point, somebody's gonna have to cave in and acknowledge us. It's as simple as that. And that will probably be when the old fuddy daddies die. So, you know, so do we need it? No, we don't. Not at all. Because whatever we're churning out and receiving right now is still fucking amazing. But an award isn't gonna make any difference. So, like, you know, like Alvin said, you know, when you look at people that take part in this film, they're all fucking happy. Remember our friend Lay Jason, the one who said he was doing some work on the Tarzan film that just got released. Remember when we saw him and he was saying about on the last day when they released like a B-roll, and it was literally just like, you know, Samuel Jackson just swearing or something like that. You see how proud he was of having worked on that film. Fuck it, that's the main thing that counts, man. Fuck an award. Fuck the little golden statue.
Cool, fair enough. His name's Lee, by the way, Richard, and I've told you that before. Stop calling him Lay.
Let me get it right. Like, sorry, big guy. He's about six. How tall is he? 7'1"?
Exactly, and he'd step on you like a bum. So get his name right.
Yeah, I'm not one of him. He's a good-looking chap who works in, you know, we met him through a mutual friend, Holly. But he's. I always get your name wrong, mate. I'm sorry. And next time I see you at Comic-Con, or like at Holly Shop. I'll get your name right. I promise that, Lay. Yeah, so, yeah, but that's my opinion on that.
Cool. Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, the broom of change sweeps all clean and sweeps everything away, and things do seem to be changing in Hollywood. I mean, the wheels turn slowly, but they do turn. So we can hope that in the future, the things that we love are going to be treated with the same respect as everything else, because that's all we ask for at the end of the day. So as long as we have that, I think we're good to go. But guys, thanks for that. That was very informative, and that was an interesting debate. And for you people watching at home, do not ever let the award ceremonies or lack thereof put you off from the stuff that you love. If you love it and cherish it. It's precious. It's beautiful. Share it with everyone else. That is how our culture grows. That is how it becomes better. That is how we all become one. So that was my peaceful, loving message for today. All right, cool, guys. Well, we've got a few minutes left. So, did you want to give a shout out for anything you're working on, or make any other recommendations? Alvin, you want to go first?
Nah, not really. I mean, well, obviously on Twitter, Facebook. Well, no, not on Facebook. On Twitter, on Instagram. I'm doing a few vids maybe for my YouTube channel some point soon. So if you follow me on Instagram and the Twitter, you'll eventually see those go up, and hopefully you enjoy them when they're about.
Cool, cool. Oh, by the way, make sure you send us a link for your channel, because what I'll do, listeners and watchers, is I'll link Alvin's channel to ours as well, so you can see some of the stuff that he's been working on. He's got a couple of great videos up from the Star Wars Celebration Europe that happened earlier in the summer. So yeah, make sure you send me over the link, and I'll link that onto the podcast as well. Yeah. Cool. Rich, anything else you wanna recommend, or anybody you want to shout out, or anything like that?
You know what? I'm gonna keep on saying it, but if you guys got any comic book readers out there, pick up the Black Panther comic book, pick up Power Man and Iron Fist. Amazing art, beautiful writing, especially Black Panther. Yeah, I can't push those hard enough. Book-wise, I'm reading a book called Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. Um, Basically, six dangerous outcasts, one impossible heists. Includes a bit of magic and fantasy. You can't go wrong. Um, Maria, oh my gosh, I've got a blank. Go pick up her book, which was released not too long ago. Who's Afraid? Uh, Basically, we'll put some links in. We'll put some links when we put it up, so you can chase it up as well. And that's about a girl who finds out that she's half werewolf. I did a little 60-second interview with her a couple of weeks ago, which is also on the page. Go pick up her book. That's an amazing read. And Liz as well. You need to go and pick up her books. I forgot the names of them. I'm really bad at promoting them. Sorry, but like I said, we'll put them in the links. And for me myself, I've got one or two articles which should be posted at some point next week on the Wulong site. And I'm getting a tattoo on Saturday. Well, another tattoo, which is obviously going to be inspired. And there's a few hints on my Rich Reviews Instagram page as to what it may be. But you'll see the unveiled thing on Saturday evening. So yeah, that's me done really.
Cool, cool. Well, as Richard is so terrible at promotion, I'll just clarify that Liz is actually a novelist called Liz Diega. Her most recent book is called Banished, I believe. But it's actually part of a trilogy, isn't it, Rich? It's like
Yes.
yeah. She's actually a really good writer. I've read one of her books, and it's really good. And yeah, she's cool actually as well. I've only met her briefly, but we watched Avengers: Age of Ultron together. So like anybody who does that is cool people in my book. So. Yeah, she's a very nice person. And Maria, what's Maria's surname, Rich? I can't remember.
Man,
This is so bad.
put on the spot, man. I'm sorry. Man. you live in New Zealand, so you probably won't get this for like another 67 hours or some shit like that because of
Yeah, they'll probably need to pay a hobbit to go deliver it to her by a horseback or
hold on. That was slightly racist, man. What are you cussing hobbits for, bro?
something. I don't care. I hate hobbits. Yeah, I said it. I hate hobbits. No, I'm kidding. I kid. I jest. Um, but yes, Maria's actually on social media as Movie Maz, so you can follow her there, and you can get updates on what she's doing and what she's working on. I believe she was recently doing some suggested reading at a library in New Zealand recently. That was something I saw. So, yeah, definitely go and check her out. As Richard mentioned, of course, we've got the blog going up. And gentlemen, before we go as well, because I completely forgot, yesterday was the 25th anniversary of the Super Nintendo. Um, so just seeing that kind of brought back so many good memories for me about that console, because that console was just amazing. It really, really was. Quick thoughts on the Super Nintendo and its place in gaming history, Richard.
uh, Amazing piece of was an amazing upgrade from the Nintendo Entertainment System, uh, and generally kept Nintendo afloat for the longest time. Slightly deviating because I know we're going to stay on the Nintendo Super Nintendo thing, but yesterday was also I think like the anniversary of when The Power of Love by Huey Lewis in the News was released and it reached #1. And obviously anybody who knows that that's the main theme for the Back to the Future film. But back to the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Yeah, man, I wish they're bringing out that little Nintendo Entertainment System that you can just plug into the TV and play games straight from it. They need to do a Super Nintendo version of that. Like that's how much like with all the technology we've got now with Xboxes and PS4s, there's only a handful of games that are amazing on these consoles now. But the Super Nintendo, wow. Super Soccer, F-Zero, Super Mario Worlds, Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Street Fighter 2, like, the list goes on and on, man. Like, it was an amazing machine. That made me become a bum. That's why I work in a dead end job now. I played that, man. But it was worth it. If I had the chance to change it, I wouldn't. I'd do it all the same all over again. I love Super Nintendo.
Cool. Alvin, did you ever mess with the Super Nintendo, man?
Yeah, and the fact that you just told me it's 25 years old makes me feel fucking sick. Like, it
I know.
literally makes me want to throw
I
the
know.
fuck up. Because those days, like, I remember those days, man, like, playing football for like 5 hours in the park and then go around to a friend's house and then fucking banging in some Street Fighter 2 Turbo and fucking shit like that, man. Fuck. I can't believe it's been that bloody long. But great console, man, it will always be like one of Nintendo's best, to be honest. And I think, you got after that you got the N64 and that. But I mean, where Nintendo are now, it's not like how they were back in the day. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Back in the day, they were one of the big two. Now they're not part of the fight anymore. It's like they quit, and so they're doing their own thing. Their own thing. But back in the
Yeah.
day, Sega versus Nintendo, that's what it was. You know what I mean? They were the big two, and fuck yeah, I mean big up to the fucking SNES, man. You can
Mm.
still get them like decently priced, I think, as well.
Yeah,
But
collections and stuff.
rare
Yeah.
games are quite expensive though. But yeah, if you get your hands on a SNES if you can, man, because they're still lurking about, which is
Mm.
pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, Richard, you were saying something?
Like I say, Sega versus Nintendo. That was like our generation's DC
Mm.
versus Marvel, man.
Yeah, straight up. Sonic or
That's
Mario,
that's
innit?
true. That's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
we're not allowed to have both consoles, man. Lord forbids.
Well, no, there's a kid that I went to school with who had both,
Oh yeah.
and
What a
yeah, he was
bastard.
one of them. Yeah, he was one of them spoilt little brats in it, and yeah, he had both of them. So I used to just live in his house and play both.
Oh, so you
But
befriended him?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It was like, oh, you've got a Super Nintendo and a Mega Drive. Okay. What? Really? You like EastEnders too? I like EastEnders. No, we've got to go back to your house and watch EastEnders, man. No, we're not watching EastEnders already. Put on the thing, man. Put on the console. But yeah, I mean, for me, I think like nothing will beat the kind of thrill of playing Street Fighter 2 on a console at home for the first time, because I'm quite a big like arcade geek, and I wrote an article on the blog last year about my favorite arcade games, and arcade games were really a big portion of my game in the early days, because in the early days I didn't really have consoles. So one of the arcade games that made the biggest impact on me was Street Fighter 2, and being able to play that like in the comfort of a home, and sit down with a controller, and to have tournaments at people's houses where you turn up at a Saturday on a friend's house and there'd be like 15 guys in there. The room would smell like BO and God knows what, but you didn't even care because we were all just there playing Street Fighter. That is like unforgettable. And Mario Kart, of course, as well. Mario Kart was another one that became synonymous with our social lives, and it became a thing to like, in the way people kind of Netflix and chill now. It became a thing to kind of go around and battle people at Mario Kart, and shoot the breeze and chat. It was, so many good memories. I'm getting all wistful and teary as I think about it now. But yeah, the Super Nintendo was just an amazing games console. It really was. Such a leap from the NES. From the original NES to that, and as you said, Rich, I'm kind of gutted that we're getting an NES remake and not a Super Nintendo remake. But as you said, Alf, they're still out there. So maybe for Christmas, if I'm a good boy, I might get one.
Hopefully, hopefully the NX, when they release the NX, because it's Android based, hopefully they'll fucking release some of their older games for cheap.
Ah, that would be nice. Yeah, that would be sweet. That'd be very sweet. Cool. All right, man. Well, we've come to the end of episode 6 of the Woodlawn Talks podcast. Thanks a lot to everybody who's watching this video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you do want to get in touch with us, you can contact us via email. That is woolongtalkspodcast@gmail.com. That's also in the description on our YouTube webpage as well, so you can send us your questions if you have anything, or if you've got topic ideas that you want us to debate, we can do that too. And if you've got anything that you're promoting as well and you'd like us to give you a shout out, or even if you just want us to say hi to you on the podcast, that's really not a biggie. So by all means, get in touch, and we can do that for you. We're also out on Instagram actively. Myself and Richard are posting quite regularly on there now, so come and say hi. Just look for Woolong Talks on Instagram and you'll find us there, and I'm also on Twitter at Woolong Talks as well. Rich, do you want to give out any contact details for yourself?
Yeah, Instagram at Rich Reviews. Also Twitter at Reviews. And like we've said already before, the website, that we do, and yeah, that's it. Is there anybody else that I really want to do a shout out for? No, I'm good for the moment. Yeah.
Cool. If you've got a Twitter account, make sure you go and follow Richard and then abuse him at his inability to understand Twitter. It'd be hilarious.
What? I'll get this abuse, and I'll be able to read it, but I won't be able to reply to it. Fuck it. It's nice, mate.
Cool. Alvin, you want to give a final shout for your contact and where you're at on social media in the wide world?
Yeah, Twitter and Facebook. Twitter, in fact, I keep on doing that. Twitter and Instagram. Big A85GL, which is definitely the handle. And just follow me on those. I've got a YouTube as well. But you said you'll put the link in the description. So if you want to find it, I think you can find it under the Mank Geek or Big A. Try both, whatever.
Wait, hold on.
What?
Look at the Big A.
Yeah, well, it's on the Big A or the Man Geek.
That's it. That's one more in the fucking book for you, bro. The Big A.
Why?
What? If you can't see it, you can't see it. Don't worry about it. But I know.
Oh my goodness. This podcast, man, is chaos. It's chaos. Alright, people, we're out of here. You have a good evening. Enjoy yourselves, and we'll see you in a fortnight. Goodbye.
Auf Wiedersehen.